Every great research paper starts with one thing: the literature review. But for most students, it's also the most overwhelming part of academic writing. You read hundreds of papers, take endless notes, and somehow you still end up wondering, how do I turn this into something coherent and original? Well, in this video, I'll walk you through 5 strategies on how to write a literature review that actually stands out. One that tells a story, shows critical thinking, and sets up your research question with authority. I'll also show you how I personally use AI writing assistants to make this process clearer and faster without compromising integrity or originality. Before you even start writing, you need to understand what a literature review is supposed to do. Every strong literature review achieves 3 things. 1. Establish the territory. It defines the broad field and shows its importance. 2. Identifies the niche. It highlights what's missing or unresolved in that field. 3. Occupies the niche. It explains how your study fills that gap. If you keep this simple structure in mind, you will avoid a list of summaries trap. Your review becomes an argument about why your study matters, not just others have said. A 2022 meta review of graduate writing instruction found that students who explicitly use rhetorical frameworks like CAS produced reviews that were rated higher for clarity and coherence. So before opening PubMed or Scopus, ask yourself, what is my territory? What is my gap? How will my study occupy that space? So the first step is to start with a map, not a pile. Before even reading a single paper, design a simple framework for your topic. List 3 to 5 key concepts or themes that define your field. For example, if your topic is vaccine hesitance, your themes might be trust in institutions, misinformation, socio-cultural determinant, and perhaps policy intervention. When you start reading, sort each study into one of these buckets. That way, you're reading with a purpose, not aimlessly collecting PDFs. Cognitive psychology calls this schema-based reading. Structuring new information around the existing categories reduces overload and improves retention. Most writers collect papers in a long, messy list. That's where they drown in information. The most efficient researchers use what's known as the synthesis matrix, first proposed by Chris Hart and still widely used in doctoral training. Here's how it works. You create a simple table. Each row represents a study. Each column represents a theme or a subtopic in your review. For example, you could have a table similar to this, where you have each row being a particular study and each column having the information and the theme. So the study, you have the 4 themes: trust in institutions, misinformation, cultural factors, policy impact. When you start grouping evidence this way, patterns emerge. You will see which themes have strong consensus and which areas are under research. A very handy tool that can help you during your literature review search process on multiple databases is Jenny AI's Web Importer. This is my personal favorite of the AI tool. It's a feature that allows you to add papers while scrolling through academic databases directly to your Jenny library. A 2020 study in the Journal of Academic Writing found that students who use synthesis matrices produce literature reviews with significantly higher conceptual depth and fewer redundancies. This method not only improves organization, it enhances your cognitive load management. You're transferring the burden of memory to a visual tool, freeing your brain to think strategically. Step 2. Reading strategically but not completely. In literature reviews, you don't need to read every single paper word for word. Instead, read it in layers. Start with the abstract and conclusion to decide if that paper is relevant. If it is, read the introduction for context and the discussion for more insights. Only read the methods closely if it adds something unique to your study design. And here is the stage where a smart tool that assists you read or scan through multiple papers comes in handy. So a unique feature in Jenny AI called PDF Chart helps you dissect your research papers section by section. By going through this approach mirrors how top researchers manage information. They extract value efficiently, focusing on patterns, not paragraphs. So strategy number 3 is read and code critically. You see, the best literature reviews don't read, they code. Coding here means tagging each study for what it adds conceptually. For example, when reading a paper, you might note this paper supports prior findings on X. This paper contradicts Banda et al. 2022. Or this paper introduces a new variable Y. Strategy number 4 is write in conceptual blocks, then refine it with any available tool of your choice. So now that you've mapped your territory and coded your sources, it's time to draft. And here is where most people struggle. Their paragraphs feel like disconnected summaries. Author A said this, author B found that. Instead, use conceptual blocks, paragraphs built around ideas, not the authors themselves. Each paragraph should advance one concrete insight supported by multiple studies. So here's an example. This is a weak synthesis from a literature review. Banda et al. Found that misinformation reduced vaccine uptake. Lee et al. Confirmed this trend. Okafor et al. Suggested cultural factors play a role. Instead, compare that weak synthesis to this one. Across multiple studies, misinformation consistently reduced vaccine uptake, though its influence varies across cultural contexts. Banda et al. And Lee et al. Emphasized exposure effects. Okafor et al. Identified how cultural narratives amplify those messages. Now, here is where technology can genuinely help you. After outlining and drafting your key sections, you'll probably find your paragraphs sound repetitive or disconnected. That's normal. Most early drafts do. And this is where AI tools like Gen AI can be part of your writing workflow. I use Gen AI's rewrite and paraphrase tools to refine the tone and make transitions smoother. It's like having a built-in editor that helps with rhythm, clarity, and academic precision. Tasks that often slow down writers during burnout or long nights. For instance, I might write something like, studies show that misinformation on social media reduces vaccine confidence, but the effect varies by context. Jenny can rewrite it as, although misinformation on social media has been linked to reduce vaccine confidence, the magnitude of this effect differs across populations and contexts. The meaning stays the same, but the rhythm, tone, and cohesion improves. This process helps me maintain my voice while saving time polishing each paragraph. A 2024 Melbourne study showed that using AI-assisted rewriting tools reduced writing time by up to 35% and improved coherence metrics in academic writing, especially for non-native speakers. So a tool like Gen AI doesn't change what you're saying, it helps you say it more effectively. There's a difference between delegating writing and collaborating with a tool. Strategy number 5 is build transition between themes. Even with strong paragraphs, a great literature review needs to flow. This is where coherence, devices, and transitions matter. Use signposting language that guides your reader across themes. Example could be something like, while earlier study focuses on X, recent evidence suggests Y. In contrast to policy-centered research, community-level studies reveal. Another example, together, these findings highlight a persistent gap in. These transitions are what distinguishes a doctoral level review from a graduate level one. They show that you can weave threads across ideas, like a storyteller, not a stenographer. So when I use Gen AI, I sometimes paste 2 adjacent paragraphs and ask it to generate a linking sentence. It often suggests phrasing that bridges the logic cleanly, saving me time, refining tone and structure. So the final step here is the final polish. Once your structure is clear, polish your review with the same rigor as a results section. Run it through readability tools, check your citation integrity, and confirm every reference supports your argument. Remember, a literature review isn't just summary of what's known, it's the intellectual scaffolding that justifies your research. If you want to streamline your revision process and make your paragraphs sound more cohesive, you can try Journey AI using my link in the description with the code Banda20 for 20% off. But whether you use AI or not, the real key to standard literature review is clarity of thought. Structure your ideas, connect your evidence, and build a narrative that convinces readers your research is the next logical step. Thanks for watching, and if you found this useful, share it with other students or colleagues who is currently stuck in the middle of a literature review.